All right. Well, very good. Last week we ended with Narada teaching Dhruva how to meditate, which was a lovely little recap of what all of our gurus told us when we got our mantras and took our initiations. And today, Narada then advises Dhruva to go to Madhuvana, to do a retreat right after his initiation. And this is kind of in the spirit of what Ramakrishna says, that any time we get some time, it's important, especially on the householder path in particular, to get some time away by yourself. Ramakrishna, talks like he would like it if you did it every week, that he'll settle if you do it every month kind of idea. It's like just take 2 days, 3 days, every now and then, whenever you can afford it, whenever you can manage to do it, and go away by yourself and establish yourself in your practice, you know, because we need that kind of effort, that kind of extra time in there in order to be established in a space where we can enjoy God. If we only match the noise of the mind, then it's just wrestling, right? But when you start to make space and give your mind a little bit of a head start, that's when your religion becomes a palpable experience of bliss in your life. So if your life doesn't have some form of bliss in it that's kind of carrying you away, carrying you along, and giving you reason for practice and whatnot, try doing some more, even if you don't feel like it. You will definitely change the mood. It's like when you go running, you have to run more than a mile and a half before that, what do they call that? The runner's high kicks in. After you've done a mile and a half and you're in that groove, counting in 4 breaths, out 4 breaths as you're running, then that bliss, that runner's bliss, comes in. But you don't get it for a mile and a half, so you have to put some effort in there where it's really ugly effort. And I think it's sometimes like that in spiritual life. Sometimes it comes down to just ugly effort. You've just got to do it. But there comes a point where you pass a threshold and it becomes a delight to you. It becomes a sweetness for you. And so we just keep pushing ahead. So it says Narada then advised Dhruva to go to Madhuvana, a retreat on the bank of the sacred Yamuna, to practice meditation in that secluded and sacred atmosphere where God is most manifest. Prince Dhruva prostrated himself at the feet of his master and went to Madhuvana to practice tapas. Narada, glad at heart, went to visit King Uttanapada, who received him with due reverence. Finding the king sad, Narada asked the reason for his grief, and the king replied, if you remember this last week, that he sent one of his sons away, because the jealous wife was in the room and wanted her son paid attention to. So here the king says, so the Narada asks him, "Why are you so sad?" And the king replies, "O revered master, my heart is torn with anxiety and yearning for my son Dhruva. To please my wife, I sent him away from me, unloved and very unhappy. Now I know not where he is, and my heart is sorrowful. Oh, surely I am the most cruel and the most deluded of kings and fathers." Touched by his grief, Narada comforted him thus: "O king, despair not. Your son is alive and well. He is under divine protection, and no harm will befall him. His fame will spread far and wide, and when at last he returns to you, you will share the glory of his renown." These words from the lips of the holy man brought calmness to the heart of the troubled king. Now Dhruva was at Madhuvana practicing tapas very earnestly. During the first days, he felt a restlessness of spirit, but soon he gained control over his mind and found joy in meditation. So see there, he's mentioning it. When we first sit down to do our practice, it's just a lot of challenge. It's a lot of discipline to do it every day and to do it for our fixed amount of time and to, push past the discomforts and all of the body revolts that happen when when you're first starting out as your practice, and you just keep pushing through it here. He says that during the first few days he felt a restlessness of spirit. Yeah, the mind doesn't want to be there, the body doesn't want to be there. You might not want to be there. You want to be somewhere else. And so, yes, there's some restlessness of mind, right? But what does he do? It says, well, he just kept going. And soon the restlessness was done and he got control over his mind. And that's when he found joy in meditation, right? So if you're at a part where meditation is just work, 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 then do more work. Increase your time and get to the point where you get past that little hump, enough of your not where enough of your sail has started to be hoisted that you get a little gentle push from a breeze every now and then, even though the sail's not all the way up. But to really strive to enjoy God, that's what we're doing. That's the only striving allowed in your practice is the striving to enjoy God. And so if your practice isn't giving you some joy, strive, play, get a little less formal, let your hair down a bit with the Lord and enjoy your time with him. Stop seeing him as so judgmental and difficult to please, right? Understand what a treasure you are to the gods. Those are words of Ramakrishna himself. You're a treasure to the gods. And so enjoy being that treasure. Enjoy God's love for you by allowing yourself to believe it, allowing yourself to trust in it, allowing yourself to open to that, right? Now Dhruva was at Madhuvana practicing tapas very earnestly, and during the first days he felt restlessness of spirit, but soon he gained control over his mind and found joy in meditation. He made such progress that by the fifth month he had risen above all physical consciousness. All right. I'm not going to make that promise to us, but it just shows you, with earnest practice, you can have lose body consciousness in only 5 months. That's that's an amazing timeline. Of course, we have to understand his name is appearing in a scripture, so it's probably not something that everybody does with regularity, but it still remains a promise to you, that your practice will yield the knowledge of God. You will come to know the beloved and your nature
But
from your practice.
Swami, but Dhruva
Swami,
was doing
can I?
day and night in the forest for those 5 months.
There you go.
There is a documentary on YouTube. It's very nice. I think it's more in Sanskrit and Telugu. I don't know whether it has English translation. It's well done, well done. If anybody wants to watch, go to Dhruva, then it will
Cool.
post. I hope you get the English titles. It's
Yes, I'll try and find it. I
exactly.
have found even if you can't find English subtitles, sometimes it's enough just to
You
watch
can
it.
understand the story. Yes.
Yes,
Now that
yes,
we are reading, you can understand, relate to it. It's beautifully done. Yes.
right.
Thank
But
you.
even that is a sign of encouragement. I mean, that he look at that dedication that when God is talking about be very earnest. This is what he just called earnestness. Somebody who pushed night and day for those first 6 months and made it to body consciousness in that time.
Swami, just 1 second. What's the practice of tapas involved?
Oh, it's
What
just
is it?
doing your japam, just sitting and doing your japam.
So that's it. Just okay. That's all that it is to it.
Yes, yes. I mean, it can be any of the tapases, tapasyas. It's disciplining yourself, getting up early, doing your practice, taking care of things. Um, singing the names of God, chanting during the day, memorizing scripture if you've got the time for that, chanting some of your mantras that you know, reading scriptures and doing dhyana. What do they call that? Leela dhyan. I think
What's
just
that?
meditating on the activities of the divine souls, um, doing service,
Mm-hmm.
purposeful service, for its own sake. All those things would work as tapas. It's basically, tapas is basically exercising the muscles of your will. So, controlling yourself, some people taking cold showers or not eating anything after noon or, all those different things, just whatever different ways you can exercise your willpower to bring your body and your mind under your control. Anything like that is considered tapas.
Mm-hmm.
So he was unaware of the surrounding world, and his mind was absorbed in the thought of Brahman. With the 6th month, he went still deeper into meditation. Veil after veil of ignorance and darkness was lifted. He beheld the divine light, the divine being, his chosen ideal, Vasudeva, smiling, benign within the shrine of his heart. The experience was so real, the divine presence so vivid, that the world of sense vanished into nothingness. This is something Prabhupada told me. He said the reason that these experiences, these direct experiences, are so effective and why they change you forever once they've happened is because they're not something that happens to you through the senses. The God is not appearing or communicating or touching you through the senses and the body mind. He's touching you directly. It's a direct experience. So there's no senses in between. There's no body in between. It's you and the divine, spirit to spirit. And the resolution, I can't think of a better way to talk about it, being a computer guy. The resolution of that experience with the divine is so extraordinarily more real than anything the senses have ever shown you. And it's something you can't believe until one experiences it, that the world, seeing something more clearly than you see it through the senses, just like what Ramakrishna said when Vivekananda asked him if he had seen God. And Ramakrishna says, yes, I see him now as even more clearly than I see you, right? Because he's having a direct experience of God. It's God being in direct communication. There's not a body, there's not an instrument or an organ of sense that's interpreting it for you. It's a direct message, one to one. And so once you've had that, you never forget it. It never fades in your memory, right? Because it is just so unusual and delivered directly to the self. All right. Oops. Veil after veil of ignorance and darkness was lifted. He beheld the divine light, the divine being, his chosen ideal, Vasudeva, smiling, benign within the shrine of his heart. The experience was so real, the divine presence so vivid, that the world of sense vanished into nothingness. Dhruva's blessedness was inexpressible. To him, the radiant immanence of God was all. But this samadhi did not last. He soon awakened, and as he opened his eyes, he saw before him Vasudeva, the same face of God that he had seen within his heart. The whole universe was lighted by his presence. Dhruva's heart melted in love, and from the fullness of his joy, he sang the praises of the Lord. All right, look at this. This is beautiful. Here it says he saw the same face of God. The whole universe was lighted by that presence, right? And this is the fact of life, that this entire universe, everything you can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, is being illuminated by the self within you, right? It's the same that your self is that which lights the universe with awareness, right? Anything that you're aware of, it is because that divine light of awareness shining out of you reflects back to you. And this wonderful thing here of our experience of seeing God, of being with God in the heart, in our practice, right? This is what it causes. One, Dhruva's heart melted in love. He was just undone inside that peace, that assurance of an absolute love that had no condition, just completely dismantles any protections of his heart. So his heart melted in love, and from the fullness of his joy, he sang the praises of the Lord. You see, from that fullness of our joy that is derived from our practice of being in the presence, from that fullness of joy, comes our expression in life, comes our service, comes our offering, comes our renunciation, comes our practice, comes our praise and our singing to the Lord. You see, so it's these experiences of God that are the battery that inspire us. And as we moved toward living a life of inspiration rather than a life of hunger, when we move from a life of that's being led by egoism to the life being inspired by spirit, it's a very different sense of life. It's a very free sense of life because you know that you are just an instrument and that you're being used and you're not accumulating any of your own responsibilities, any of your own nervousness or worries about things going right, because it's Mother's problem. It's the divine problem. It's not your own, right? And so you live life knowing it's Mother's responsibility to bring you home. It's Mother's responsibility to clean your diaper, to bring you to freedom. And it's your part in that is to strive to enjoy God, right? To sit there and to be in that presence and to open to that presence and get used to that presence, right? Find that presence so it becomes a part of your daily experience. Ultimately, it'll be your whole day. So Dhruva's heart melted in love, and from the fullness of his joy, he sang the praises of the Lord. O thou great friend of the poor and of the destitute, you are the refuge of all. You deliver us from the round of birth and death. May I ever love you. May I ever be in the blessed company of the pure who love you. You are the infinite Brahman, unchangeable, unequaled, without beginning and without end. Your form is bliss. You are the supreme goal. I take refuge in you. Then the Lord spoke unto him. Oof, man. Wow. As soon as we can sing that song, that same song with that same earnestness and sincerity that it was just sung with, then the natural response from God is going to be this: I know your heart, my child. You did desire to be a king, and now you shall rule your father's kingdom for many years. After your allotted time of life on earth, you shall go to that place in heaven called the celestial sphere, where the gods and the angels and stars circle round and round, singing my praises and glory. You shall be the center of all that sphere, and you shall be known as the Dhruva Nakshatra, the polar star. Thus saying, the Lord disappeared from his vision. Dhruva felt sad at heart. He had once desired the love of his father and his rights as heir to his father's kingdom, but now he found how trivial such things were when compared with spiritual bliss. Right? Unfortunately, that's something we all learn too late. You know, is on this side of practice, we're pushing everything uphill. And it seems like the fun is in the world, in the senses, right? We think that the fun lies in the mind and the body. But he's saying here, you know, that when one has reached this experience of God's presence within, right, that everything of the senses, once, like I said, once you've had that direct experience, it's like it's like if you played a video game on a high resolution monitor today, and then somebody took you back to 1990 and said, "Here, play this game on an Atari." You'd be like, "What is this game? There's nothing. This is horrible. What a lousy experience. Big blocky graphics and basic colors. What is this? Nothing looks real." That's the experience after this direct experience of the beloved, this world. You're like, what joy can anybody get out of here? It's all low resolution, cheap hardware. there's, there's nothing as great as the divine here. There's nothing as crystalline as the direct experience of God here. And you will be left with that, and your longing will increase for that presence, for that real experience of God, from which pales, literally pales everything in this world to him.
Just 1 second. So he was promised during his life to be in within the celestial spheres, together with the polar star and other stars. That's what the promise was.
No, no, that's what's going to be given to him. Yes, wrong. He saw God and
After
God gave.
death, or during
What's that?
his, I mean, after
After this
his
life.
death, or
Yes, he says
after his
after his
death?
time on earth is finished, he's going to go to this celestial plane in heaven. Yeah,
Wow, that's quite amazing.
right. But it's kind of funny because he gets this amazing news. You're going to be the polar star. It's going to be you're going to be in heaven. It's going to be amazing. And then Dhruva felt sad at heart. Like, dude, how can you be feeling sad at heart? My God, look what you've just been promised. For he had once desired the love of his father and his rights as heir to his father's kingdom, but now he found such trivial things, how trivial these things are when compared with spiritual bliss. He realized that he had been like one who dug a well to satisfy his thirst while living on the bank of a river. He no longer felt any other desire than to love and serve God. He calmed himself, however, and obeying the will of the Lord, journeyed back to his father's kingdom. When King Uttanapada heard that his son Dhruva was returning, he called together his wife and their son Uttama, right? And Sunita, the mother of Dhruva, and numerous attendants. Then, with many gorgeously decorated carriages and amid great pomp and ceremony, he set out to meet him. As soon as he saw Dhruva approaching, the king ran to him and embraced him tenderly. Dhruva prostrated himself at his father's feet. Then he bowed down to his stepmother Suruchi, who embraced him, and kissing him affectionately, said, "May you live long, my child. I beg you to forgive me. One who is dear to God is dear to all beings. No enmity or hatred can endure before him. I am proud and blessed to call you my child." Dhruva now affectionately embraced his younger brother Uttama. Then he prostrated himself at the feet of his mother, who, with an overwhelming happiness flooded her heart, raised him up. There was great rejoicing in the city as Dhruva passed through it on his way to the palace. When Dhruva came of age, King Uttanapada placed him on the throne, and with the permission of his beloved subjects, retired into the solitude to spend the remainder of his life in the contemplation of God. Now it happened that one day, while Dhruva's younger brother Uttama was out hunting, he was slain by a yaksha, a demigod. When Dhruva heard of this, he became angry and declared war against the yakshas and their chief Kubera, the god of wealth and the regent of the north. While the war was still raging and many yakshas were being slain, Manu, Dhruva's grandfather, came with other saints and requested Dhruva to desist from fighting and from killing the innocent yakshas. Manu spoke to him thus: "Why do you fight in this manner? Because of your grief for the loss of your brother, you have lost mastery over your passions, and you have been deluded. Why do you grieve for one who is not really dead? Bodies have a beginning and an end, but a soul is immortal. You attained knowledge and gained power through your devotion to God, and yet some ignorance remains in you, for you still see the difference and not the unity that pervades all things. Now must you therefore seek the highest truth, so that you may find one God, the divine self, in all beings and in all things, and thus be forever free from all of this delusion." Right? What a blessed day. When we come to see that everything is according to God's plan. We see everything is exactly as it should be, with an understanding and a knowledge of that, not just an intellectual understanding, right? As Manu reminded him of this truth, Dhruva at once realized his great weakness, and immediately all of his anger left him. He ceased warring against the Yakshas, and his heart was again filled with love for all. Yes. That anger coming up. That's anger is caused by by a desire not being fulfilled. And so when we're angry in life, it's because we're seeing things in this deluded state. We're not understanding the love of God and the equanimity of all things, and that God is everywhere present and always perfect, right? We see things from our ignorance, and we feel discouraged and angry because because in our senses we're weak, right? In our egoism we're weak and severed. All right. So as Manu reminded him of this truth, Dhruva at once realized his great weakness, and immediately all his anger left him. Right? So that's what happens. We see our weakness, we let go of it, we renounce it, and immediately anger leaves, right? We're no longer counting on the fruits of the body mind to bring us happiness. So that anger is eliminated once that idea of desire of getting something from outside of ourselves, once that goes. When Kubera, the chief of the Yakshas, heard of Dhruva's decision, he appeared before him and offered to be his friend. Now, Kubera had the power to fulfill the desires of men. He therefore offered to Dhruva any boon that he might choose. Wow, so Dhruva can have at this moment anything that he wants. Dhruva replies, "If it please thee to fulfill the desire of my heart, grant me this one boon, that I may always remember the Lord. For only by living continuously in the consciousness of God can a man become free from the delusions of the world." All right, there's a very direct teaching. Only by living continuously in the consciousness of God can a man become free from the delusions of the world. Kubera at once granted this request and then disappeared. After a peaceful reign of a few years, Dhruva renounced the throne in favor of his son Utkala, and wishing to regain that sublime experience of his youth, wherein he had known himself indissolubly united with God, he went away to the sacred retreat of Badarika in the Himalayas. There, in daily solitude and meditation, he dwelt with God. See, that's a wonderful way to describe practice, right? In solitude and meditation, he dwelt with God. That's what's really happening there when you do practice. There he again lost the consciousness of this manifold and finite universe in a vivid awareness of the divine unity and immensity. Finally, the consciousness of his own personal finite ego was lost, and there remained only the unitary consciousness in which the I and God become one. He was aware only of the one absolute existence, absolute knowledge, and absolute bliss. At last, he knew himself to be one with the God of love. Wow. When Dhruva regained his normal consciousness, he knew that the time was approaching for giving up his physical body, the garment of his soul. Suddenly he saw in a vision a luminous chariot coming down from heaven to carry him away. Everything about him was lighted by its radiance. Two celestial beings, attendants of Lord Vishnu, descended from the chariot and addressed Dhruva, saying, "We have been sent by the Lord Vishnu to take you to his abode." Dhruva recognized them as the attendants of God and bowed down to them. He then chanted the name of the Lord Vishnu and, putting aside his earthly form, mounted the chariot. As the chariot ascended, he heard singing and rejoicing all around him. Dhruva was carried to that celestial sphere, and as promised by the Lord, he became the polar star, the guide of all mankind in every age. Wow. All right, so we're on chapter 2 now, Utkala, son of Dhruva. Anybody have any comments or any questions or concerns or anything before we jump into the new chapter?
We see Dhruva Nakshatra on the sky. There is 7 Saptarishis. Seven, Saptarishi means seven.
Uh-huh.
Four, it's like a kite. That's what we were shown when we were growing up. I think many of the Indian peers here probably know that. And then on the sixth or seventh, there is a star that is sparkling bright. That is Dhruva Nakshatra. That's what we were told.
Oh,
That's the North Star.
the polar star, yes, the guiding
Probably
star.
that's the polar star. That's what we
Yeah.
were told. Yes.
Oh, that's marvelous.
We believed it. We believed it.
Yeah,
We
why
still,
not?
some of us still believe it. I
Of
still believe.
course. I think it's wonderful to believe those things. I mean, Ramakrishna said that Vivekananda was one of those seven stars. I wonder if while he was here, if that star was still there. Wow. Beautiful. I like the
Even when
idea.
they reincarnate, like Vishnu reincarnated as Rama, Vishnu was still as Vishnu also. They only send a portion of their energy.
I see.
So when Swami Vivekananda, I'm just talking out aloud after listening to you. So when if he's one of the stars, he would still be the star and be the incarnation of Swami Vivekananda.
Uh-huh. Well, cool. All right, chapter 2, Utkala, son of Dhruva. Utkala, the son of Dhruva, was a great saint. He had been born with natural poise and calmness and knowledge of God. The responsibility of ruling the earth, imposed upon him by his father, soon became burdensome to him, and he forthwith abdicated the throne in favor of his younger brother, Vatsara, who ruled the earth for many years. Utkala chose the life of renunciation and solitude, realizing that the divine self exists in all human beings, and that all beings exist in the divine self. His heart found itself united with all things. All his worldly desires were burned in the fire of knowledge, right? That fire of the knowledge of who we are. As soon as you know who you are, all of these desires of this earthly body mind completely drop away. It's like, what in the world? When you realize, that you just realize that you're not the body mind, and that's a huge switch, right? It's because I thought about it. This is a queer way of thinking about it. But I was out one time in Lima walking around the bog there, and I was walking by the pasture where they put the bulls in there, and there was a bull and a cow in there, and they were having some hanky panky, and I was watching and kind of finding it funny that they were doing this, and that I'm a monk walking on the yard there, and but it made me think. It was like, gosh, that's funny because that has no effect on me. Watching that going on between a cow and a bull has no effect on me whatsoever. And I thought that's the power of delusion, the power of attachment, identity. It's because I don't identify myself as a cow or as a bull that I'm not moved at all by those things of cows and bulls, right? And so this awareness of myself as spirit, when I finally have that realization that I'm not this body, then seeing all of that activity in this world at large is going to be as foreign and as entertaining and powerless to me as watching the bull and the cow. So that's why this realization is the end of all desire. It's the killing of all desire, right? Because we come to know our true identity as spirit. And we're like, wow, no wonder nothing was fulfilling here. No wonder things weren't working out as I was seeking my happiness in them, right? And so on the day of our realization, it will be that profound where you be like, wow, how could I ever have been interested in the things of cows and bulls, right? When I myself am spirit, am divine. All right. Utkala chose the life of renunciation and solitude, realizing that the divine self exists in all human beings, and that all beings exist in the divine self. His heart found itself united with all things. All his worldly desires were burned in the fire of knowledge. He was filled with great love for God and enjoyed peace ineffable. He lived in the consciousness of God during his entire life, aware of nothing but the divine Atman, and spent his days teaching words of wisdom and singing the praises of the Lord. Chapter 3, King Prithu. King Prithu, a descendant of Dhruva, was a great man and a noble king. While the people of his court were still enjoying the festivities of the day of his coronation, news came to him of a terrible famine which was raging over the land. Thousands of people were dying of hunger. Even as the messengers spoke, multitudes began to flock to the palace, crying for food. The king realized at once how great the calamity that had come upon him. He knew that the earth was not sufficiently productive and wondered sadly what could be done to relieve the condition of his people. While he was meditating on the problem, Mother Earth herself, in the form of a cow, appeared before him. She gave the king to understand that she was able and willing to yield all that was necessary for man, but that man must exert himself to obtain it. She could not produce diverse food, she said, and all necessities suited to all peoples and to every climate. Oh, she could produce diverse foods. King Prithu, therefore, called some of his subjects to him, and with care and patience explained to them all that Mother Earth had told him. Later, through the efforts of the king and his subjects, Mother Earth yielded corn, herbs, plants, and trees in quantities sufficient to satisfy the physical needs of mankind. To the sages, she yielded fruit for the spirit, namely the Vedas, and to the Devas, she yielded immortality, mental vigor, power of the senses, and physical strength. To the Rakshasas, she yielded intoxicating drinks, and from her the Gandharva received beauty and sweetness, the Siddhas, yogic powers, and the Vidyadharas, knowledge. In this manner did Mother Earth fulfill the desires of all of her children. All right, under the benign rule of King Prithu, forts and cities, towns, villages, homes, and factories were built, and these brought comfort and protection to his subjects, who became happy and prosperous. There was no more want or famine during his long reign. When peace and happiness had been restored, King Prithu invited all of the people of the earth and the gods of the heaven to join him in a magnificent sacrificial rite. Lord Vishnu came down from his highest abode in response to the king's prayer. After blessing his votary, Lord Vishnu taught him these truths. The wise man neither hates nor injures anyone. He sees the other divine self in all. Neither does he become attached to the body, for he knows that the bondage of karma clings to him, who ignorantly identifies himself with it. When one frees himself from attachment to the body, he will have no more attachment to the world, right? Because it's your mind that carries all of your attachments, and your karmas. And so when you know yourself not to be mind, not to be body, then you leave your karmas behind as well. They no longer hold sway over you because the way that your karma controls you is through your identity with it. The belief that that's my karma. I said that, I did that, right? But with the knowledge of I didn't say, I didn't do nothing, with that knowledge comes your freedom from that karma, from the blame that you hold yourself accountable to. So the wise man neither hates nor injures anyone. He sees the one divine self in all. Neither does he become attached to the body, for he knows that the bondage of karma clings to him who ignorantly identifies himself with it. When one frees himself from the attachment to the body, he will have no more attachment to the world. The Atman, or the divine self, is separate from the body. This Atman is one without a second, pure, self-luminous, without attributes, free, all-pervading. He is the eternal witness. Blessed is he who knows this Atman, for though an embodied being shall be free from the changes and qualities pertaining to the body, he alone is ever united with me. He who, being desireless, worships me with his heart and mind absorbed in me, soon finds joy. His heart, finding delight in me, becomes free from attachment to the gunas. He becomes the seer of truth and realizes abiding peace and freedom in me. The Atman is ever free. Those who know the Atman as the ruler of the body, the senses, the mind, and the intellect, they become fearless and are free from all bondage. They know that the body alone is subject to birth and death, and that the Atman is ever free and immortal. No grief can overcome them, for they are united with me in love. O King, thou art wise. Be not deluded by either happiness or misery. Look with an equal eye upon all beings, and rule this kingdom with your senses and mind under perfect control, right? Because it's the senses and mind which lead us astray, that lead us into acts of selfishness, self-centeredness, egoism, and egotism. I am not easily attainable by sacrificial rites or ceremonies, nor by austerities, but I reveal myself unto those who see me in all beings, and all beings in me. King Prithu prostrated himself at the feet of the Lord of Love, and prayed, O Lord of my heart, may I always hear your praise and sing your glory, and my heart be ever filled with love for you. This is my only prayer. Lord Vishnu accepted the worship of his devotee and then disappeared, but he dwelt forever in the heart of King Prithu. The king then taught his subjects how to worship God sincerely, with their hearts and minds absorbed in meditation upon him. He taught them that even the desire to serve him freed man from impurities accumulated during many lives, and that blessed indeed was the man who surrendered himself to the lotus feet of the Lord, for he should be free from all impurities and all attachment, should have knowledge of truth, and should conquer death. Thus the king taught his subjects how to attain the kingdom of heaven. One day, while his subjects from the fullness of their hearts were praising their beloved king, there appeared before him 4 great rishis, headed by Sanat Kumara. Their forms were luminous, and their faces shone like those of knowers of Brahman. All right. So I think we're going to stop there today. And